All right, welcome back to Crypto Front. This is the front line where we are fighting for financial freedom. We want to be taking a look at the market one more time. I have been actually looking right around the internet and trying to see where the sentiment is for the rest of the market. And I'm telling you that a lot of these influencers are doing real bad for their communities. Some of them are even going to the extent of blaming their followers for feeling bad that the market is not really doing well. But I want to be real with you here. I understand the pain, and I want to tell you that it's 100% human to be feeling bad because you have also lost your money, right? This is your hard-earned money. But let me also say this, not all hope is actually lost here. We have a chance to still make money in the market even when prices are going to the downside, and I'll explain later on. And there are ways we can actually be managing bad times like these ones in this market, right? So we'll take a look at the rest of the market. We'll have a 360 view on what exactly is happening. I'll take you across the macro market that we have right there. Speaking of the Dow Jones, we'll also take a look at different other metrics, including ICP as well as the Jasmy price, because I know that most of you guys who follow me on this channel, you are interested in this one specifically, right? So without me further running my mouth too much, I want to kindly ask you to help me spread this video just by delicately tapping the like button. It really helps the YouTube algorithm, and you know the current sentiment that we have in this market. Just help me to spread this information, which I think is very much relevant. So let's start here with the Bitcoin price. And here what I'm anticipating is that yes, we are close to finding a bottom here with the BTC price. And yeah, this may actually be surprising if you watched my last video, because I was saying that it is now confirmed that we are in a bad trend for the Bitcoin price. And yes, it's true, but does it mean that prices are continuously going to go to the downside? No, we can also still have bounces. For instance, in this situation, I actually anticipate something like a 30% plus pump here to show up for the Bitcoin price, but still I expect the general trend to continue to be bearish. So I took this price fractal from the Bitcoin price back then in something like 2019, heading into the C19 crash that we were having back here. And the reason why I did that is that like the emotions and the feeling that we are currently feeling right now were also the same things that we were feeling back here in 2019. And on top of that, we were also heading into a cutting cycle for the Fed, and that's also where we are headed in the market. So I thought it was actually something that would be helpful, but when I pulled the fractal here, I was really surprised that it was going to be fitting in here. So like in the current moment here, I'm expecting a volatile week. We've got a presidential debate coming in this week on Tuesday, and with that, obviously, I think odds are going to be moving towards one side or the other, and with that can also be affecting the market. Secondly, we also have got a Fed meeting on the 18th of September, and I think right at this point, even when you take a look at the odds, it's no longer a question whether they are going to be cutting rates. The question now actually is by how much are they going to be cutting, right, and how fast are they going to be cutting rates. We'll talk about the effect of that later in the video as well, but for now, I anticipate BTC to find some kind of a bottom right around 49k, and from there we can have some bounce back to something like 66k. This is what I'm preliminarily looking at right at this point, I think. So yes, in as much as I think that we are in some kind of a bearish trend, we could still see some huge bounces like that. But now the question that you may be asking is why I actually think that we are in a bearish market here for BTC. I was showing you this indicator here, the RSI on a monthly time frame, and I was indicating that look, whenever we are having a peak in the RSI, and then after that peak we are having this RSI, the blue line breaking below the yellow line here, that has actually been confirming a bear trend for the Bitcoin price ever since something like year 2018. But we could have also gone back to try extrapolate the data which was not there back then, something like 2012 and 2011, and if we do something like this here, draw an extra line right there, we could also say that even at this point here, there was a confirmation that, you know, the bear cycle has actually begun. So we have maybe here, let's say 2011, we have got 2018, we also have got the same scenario happening here in 2018, then we also have got the same exact thing happening in 2021. Now we have had the RSI crossing below its moving average here on the monthly time frame, and of course with that, I think the indicator is confirming that for now we are in a bearish trend here for the Bitcoin price. But I also want you to notice that in the other instances, we were actually having like an overbought RSI that was really decisive here. For example, in 2021, in 2018, as well as the previous instances here, you were clearly seeing that. Now in the situation, we really didn't see that. So it also leads me to believe that yes, we really didn't get into the euphoric part of the bull cycle, and it's going to be coming up some point in the near future, right? That's why I'm saying time and again that I think that yes, we may be in a bearish trend, but I think that this is going to be the shallowest or the shortest bear cycle that we have ever seen, because here on the charts, it looks like it's unfinished. Now, let me move on to a very important topic that everybody else has been talking about, and that's the interest rates, right? So what we see here on the screen right now is we have got this line here that I'm moving, as the interest rates, and then we also have got this yellow line here that I'm moving, and that's the stock market. Now you may be asking, what are we doing with the stock market right at this point? The reason why we are dealing with the stock market is what we have seen is that the stock market is very much directly correlated to what the BTC price does. And here's an example, right? You can see that whenever the stock market is peaking, Bitcoin is also peaking, and throughout the existence of Bitcoin, this really has been the case. So in as much as they may not be moving at the same exact time, the stock market will dictate what happens eventually with the BTC price. So we have to understand what the stock market is doing so that we also have an idea of what Bitcoin is doing. So right now, what we are clearly seeing between the relationship of interest rates and the stock market is that the last 3 times that we have had a Fed rate cut, we have actually seen the stock market dropping to the downside. The first example here will be 2019, where you can see that the rates were almost constant, and then when the Fed started cutting, we obviously had a huge market crash along with the C19, whatever the case may be. So we really probably don't have a 100% guarantee or certainty that it was the Fed rate that were actually contributing to the stock market crash. But what we also know is that whenever the Fed is cutting rates, it's because they're trying to fix something that is broken in the market, right? So we also have got an example here of something like 2007, where we are seeing that rates were almost constant here, and then when they started cutting, we also had a market crash. So that's something that is very important to note. And that was also the same thing really in 2000, where we were seeing that when they started cutting rates here, we also saw the market dropping along with that. So just looking at this data here, even if we go back maybe to the 80s and something like that, we'll realize that for the most part, when the cutting cycle begins, the market will have a negative reaction to that. So I want you to be prepared for that, because everybody is saying that, look, when the Fed starts cutting rates, it is going to be like something that is very great. I partially agree with that, because as you saw with the data, right, initially we are having a negative reaction, but also take a look at this. After the cutting cycle is complete, when we have constant rates here or even an increase in Fed rates, we also see that the market will do really, really well. So everything here leading to 18th of September is going to be dependent on how fast the Fed is actually going to be cutting. If they go ahead and decide to cut aggressively, it also means that we'll find the bottom very much quickly, and then from there we can continue to resume the bull cycle. So I'm really hoping right at this point you are having a clear picture of how the macro is looking like. But on top of that, I wanted also to show you another index that really goes well. I mean, it really goes 1:1 with the crypto market, and this is the US Russell 2000. There's obviously a retail companies, the small businesses and stuff like that. And what we are seeing here is that this is not looking very great, and I'll be expecting it to drop a further, maybe something like 4% or something like that. But that's also something that is very much significant. If this index is dropping 4%, maybe crypto is dropping another 10-12% or something like that. But we'll obviously have to see what happens when we head back to our support levels. But I think immediate short term, we're looking very much bearish, and we'll see what eventually happens when we get back to support levels. Now let's move on to ICP, Internet Computer Protocol. And what we are seeing here on a daily time frame is that, yeah, ICP is looking like it's being supported right around $7. I was saying in my last video, I think that the last lane in descent for me was something like $7.10. But the thing that actually happened here with ICP is that, yes, it dipped below $7.10, but it never did close the daily candle outside of that. So right at this point, yes, I think that the support level is still valid. And on top of that, I think the good thing is that we have got these higher lows, which are popping up right there. So if these ones hold right around that $7 there, we could see ICP move back to mid-range levels here. That's something like $8.80. We could basically round it to something like $9. Then from there, let's see if ICP can challenge something like $10, $11 right there. But I want you to also notice that, yes, this is still happening within a bearish trend. Once we break and close above like $11.50, this is maybe when we can really start to get excited. But for now, yeah, all these moves, you just remember this, right? Even when you are in a bearish trend, you could still see 20% pumps, 15% pumps, and that's really one of the things that makes like bear markets really difficult to navigate, because of emotions swings like this. But you will see 15%, and then the next time the whole thing drops it down. So overly, I think that the market is in a bearish trend, but we could still see some kind of things happening like this here for ICP, maybe shifting to something like $9 and $10. That doesn't mean that the whole thing has changed, but we will have to wait and see obviously what eventually happens. Now, as you can already understand from my analysis, I really don't have a kind of a side here for ICP, Internet Computer Protocol. The reason is that I'm not taking any sort of action on my holdings of ICP, right? I'm not trading ICP as well. So right at this point, I'm just neutral. Even if the price drops to the downside, I'm really not very much affected because I'm not planning on touching ICP, selling or buying. So, it is what it is. Let's move like that. Now, coming to Jasmy, I think that here the story with Jasmy is slightly a little bit different because it's showing much more weakness. You remember, we were saying the last line in the sand here is something like 1.8 cents. And we traded below that. We even closed daily candles below that level. So I think here the next very much reliable kind of support level that we can hope to is 1.5 cents. Now, one thing that could save Jasmy in the immediate short term is if we just have one very bullish engulfing candle here that goes on and erases all this indecision that we are seeing with the latest daily candles by this. So we have something that really pushes maybe the price to 2.1 cents or something like that, bring back excitement back into the market, and then from there is a chance that people come back to Jasmy, buy more Jasmy, and send the price even higher. But right at this moment, as I'm speaking, these few daily candles that we have seen in the last week or something like that, this is not good. There's just no way to twist it. And here, the likely support, actually the reliable support level here for Jasmy is 1.5 cents. Now, this really has to be defended because this is a make or break moment for the Jasmy price. If we break below 1.5 cents, let me not get into it very much, but that's really going to be very much bearish. You know the deal. When you are hitting more on a support level or a resistance level, that's more likely you're going to be breaking that. So we don't want to be playing too much close to this level. It's almost like playing with fire, right? So 1.5 cents has to hold, although it's not really the conducive situation for me. When the price gets back there, probably I'll be longing or buying Jasmy, but I'll be very much careful with this tight stop loss to say that when we are breaking and closing candles outside of this whole zone here for the Jasmy price, that it's really going to be lights out. Let me just say this right now, right, when we haven't gotten there yet, because you know what will happen? There will be a lot of emotions by the time we're getting there. So I have said it time and again, that's where we are sitting here with the Jasmy price. That I will definitely be trading Jasmy because the gameplay here for Jasmy is slightly a little bit easier compared to what ICP was doing. So I will be announcing those trade alerts again in the Patreon. Let's see if we can have a little bit of a push so that we have a better risk to reward ratio here for the Jasmy price. That, by the way, we have had a very successful trade recently with Ton. I think we were shorting it right around $7.16, and I think my Patreon members are swimming in profits by more than 100% in terms of gains, because even if you were on a 2x or maybe 3x leverage, yeah, this kind of movement here was really good. This was a distribution structure, and I was making a video specific and exclusive to Patreon members. They took the trade and they are in profits right at this point. So we could be doing the same thing here with the Jasmy price. That again, I'm pointing to these things because I want you to know that you really don't have to be feeling bad all the time when the price is moving to the downside. You could also be taking advantage of the volatility in the market and make money short term. Either longing or shorting the price depends on the circumstances. And if you say that, you know what, I'll never be able to do this, I have gone on to prepare a toolkit for you. This is something that I did with all my heart, and you can learn here how you can set up your indicators and charts. The toolkit has got about 34 videos, and I think it's 8 or 9 sections or something like that here, where you see here we've got chart access, we've got ascending chart basics. Then from there, we have got effective tools and indicators. Then the only important useful charts that we can trade in the market. Then from these things, most of them are actually customized. These are things that I discovered myself. So it's not like your regular head and shoulders bet and this and that, right? So I've also included obviously head and shoulders patterns, but in the other popular chart patterns section, right? So these are some of the things that you can learn as extras, but I know a lot of courses which go for $500 and they'll just be teaching you these things, which, to be honest, they work every now and then, but for the most part, they really lead to losses. So you're going to have to go ahead and do this here, the pro tips and the setting up your trade. These ones will be unlocked, I think, on the 14th of, this is the 10th of September, actually. So 2 days from now, they will be open. But for now, go ahead and check the toolkit here. Right at this point, 18 people have joined the toolkit and they have rated it something like 4.3 out of 5. I think it's great. So 7 ratings. I really would love to see 10 plus, maybe, in the future, 100 plus ratings. Then maybe it can become much more reliable. But go ahead and check it out. $35. Nothing really too much crazy. I really try to make sure that everybody could afford and have a chance in this market. So with all that being said, I want to kindly ask you to help me spread the video just by delicately tapping the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and then I'll see you again tomorrow in another update. Take care. Bye.